From KATV, winner of the Edward R. Murrow Award for Best Newscast, this is Channel 7 News. Good morning, Arkansas.
And also, February is Heart Month. We have Baptist Health cardiologist Dr. Tom Conley and one of his heart patients, Suzy Oakley from Batesville. In fact, you might recognize Suzy. She's featured in Baptist Health's new campaign called Keep On Amazing. And Suzy and Dr. Conley are going to share her amazing story today for us.
Can't wait to hear more from her. We talk a little bit about Heart Month being in February, right? Yeah. We have Baptist Health cardiologist Dr. Tom Conley and one of his heart patients, Suzy Oakley, who's here from Batesville visiting us. In fact, you may recognize Suzy. She was featured in Baptist Health's new campaign called Keep On Amazing, and she is keeping on amazing. We're going to share her story coming up in just a little bit.
All right. Coming up next, we're going to share Suzy Oakley's amazing story of going from heart patient to runner. Stay tuned. 9:37 is the time. February is Heart Month, and we want to take the opportunity to help make us all more heart healthy with the help of Baptist Health. And today we have Baptist Health cardiologist Dr. Tom Conley and one of his heart patients joining us in the studio, Suzy Oakley from Batesville. In fact, you probably recognize Suzy because she's featured in the new campaign called Keep On Amazing. And Suzy and Dr. Conley are here to share that incredible story. Thank you both for coming in today. Really appreciate it. And congratulations on all your success and being a part of this campaign to keep inspiring people. Suzy, first, let's talk about back in the beginning, the symptoms that you were experiencing at the time that kind of made you realize something wasn't right and you needed to see a doctor about it.
Well, I had actually been diagnosed about 5 years earlier before my surgery, but last summer I started noticing that I was getting increasingly tired. I was almost depressed feeling, and I was training for a half marathon and I started not wanting to run, which is very unusual.
So, I mean, was it impacting your lifestyle more from an exercise standpoint? But you said almost depressing. Was it everything that you were doing? You just didn't feel something was quite right at the time?
Right. My actual heart didn't feel any different than it had been feeling. But the fatigue, and I'd want to come home from work at 5 o'clock and just go to bed. And not get up in the morning.
Man, okay. Dr. Conley, your diagnosis for Suzy?
Suzy had mitral valve prolapse with mitral regurgitation. It's a condition where one of the valves inside the heart doesn't shut properly and it leaks. Well, we call it leaking, but blood washes backwards inside the heart, and so her forward flow is diminished.
How common is something like this found?
You know, it varies depending upon what series you look at, but probably about one, maybe 2% of the population.
Is it more in men or women, or has there been studies to discern between the two?
A little bit more in women.
A little bit more in women. And what kind of treatment options did you lay down, and what was the treatment you decided to go forward with this?
Well, Suzy had a really new, exciting treatment. She had mitral valve repair through a minimally invasive approach. So rather than having her entire breastbone cut in half, there was a small incision about this long, and we're able to go in and repair the valve, which is infinitely preferable to replacing the valve. And as a consequence, her hospital stay was what, 3 days, 4 days,
5.
something like that?
5.
Not very long.
Yeah, considering a heart procedure, you almost never hear of a turnover that quickly. How have you felt since that procedure, and how great was it to have this new type of technology, a new procedure, to where it isn't invasive and it does allow you to go on a little bit quicker?
Well, and I was back at work at 3 weeks instead of maybe 6 to 8 for the traditional. And I've felt great since. I mean, I'm still recovering. It's been 5 months today since my surgery, but I don't have that have to go to bed feeling, and I'm running again, and it's been incredible.
For others out there who might be experiencing symptoms like what you felt, what advice would you give them as they maybe go into the doctor and get a diagnosis and take the journey that you've taken so far?
Well, I was going to say, go to your doctor.
Yeah.
But live a healthier life, but that's going to be in tandem with what your doctor tells you. But
one thing you've done is started, really running a lot.
I ran a half marathon for the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. My husband has Crohn's disease, so it was a fundraiser, and I never planned to run a distance event like that, but it was a cause that was near and dear to my heart. So I did that the September before my surgery and had signed up again for this past September, and ended up having to drop out because I had surgery.
Do you plan on trying to keep running again
Yes,
after this? And for patients like Suzy, can they continue to build back up the type of stamina that maybe they had if they were able to do previous events like that?
And that's the whole purpose of what we do, is to restore people back to that, healthy, functioning lifestyle.
And what would you say the most important advice for people out there, Dr. Conley, who maybe have some type of heart issue, or just anyone out there as we recognize Heart Month and recognize how many people heart disease affects out there? What advice would you have for them as they recognize this month?
Number one, don't smoke.
Yeah.
It's the number one preventable cause of heart disease, which is the number one cause of death and disability in the United States. So if you really want to make an impact on the nation as a whole, that's the number one thing. And the rest of it is the usual stuff that cardiologists talk about, eat right, exercise, and take your medications. If your blood pressure is high, lower it. If your cholesterol is high, lower it. See your doctor regularly, do those kind of things.
Okay. And Suzy, real quick, I know you have a blog that you keep track of what you've been up to and your progress, and I know we have that information here, and also talk about your website.
My blog is a little bit of everything, but I do talk about running a lot. My husband has run for over 40 years, and he's the real expert, but I talk about more the touchy-feely part of it, how it feels to be a newbie. And I also have a link on we are co-leaders of the Women Run Arkansas Clinic in Batesville, and there's clinics all over the state. It's free.
Wonderful.
And we help people who are not active get more active, and that website is womenrunarkansas.net, and I do have a link to it on my blog, suzyandspice.com.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming in, and as we recognize and celebrate Heart Month here with Baptist Health, Suzy, thank you so much for being part of that campaign, and great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
All right.